So pets, one of the fun parts about being a hunter, being able to go out into the world and tame a beast, and there are a wide variety of different beasts with a lot of different abilities that you can tame. In this video we will go through the ones that I think is better than the rest for level 19 PvP. So this will be my top 5, and there will probably not be any more pet episodes actually, because there aren't that many that are great for PvP. But before we actually start going through the different pets, I would like to go through some more, what should I say, more boring stuff. And that is how to control your pet. Here your pet can do a little bit on its own. It can run off from you and end up on the other side of the battlefield, and it won't despawn, then it will die, and you will basically have to revive your pet, which costs a lot of mana, so preventing that from happening is great since your pet is a very useful tool. And this isn't really the most advanced way to do it, but it's a good way to do it. Start by putting your pet on passive at all times. You will always have your pet on passive. That will make your pet unable to do things on its own. And but it will still do what you tell it to do. So if you tell it to attack, it will do that. Then we will control the rest with macros, and it's not really advanced. But let's start with petattack. Petattack is basically what it is that, as it sounds, your pet will attack your target. And the reason why I don't have a more advanced macro that makes my pet come back if I click it one more time is because I want to be able to switch target. I want, for an example, if I'm attacking player 1 and I see that I will need to attack player 2 instead, then I want to be able to switch target. I don't want my pet to come back to me before it starts attacking player 2, as an example. And that's why I got a separate macro for that. Then we have a very important macro, and that is petfollow. This is the best way I found to do this. It's /petfollow at pettarget.exists within brackets. I will write all these in the description so you don't have to kind of write them from the screen. But what it does is that if your pet have a target, then it will instead come back to you, because if it have a target, then it's attacking something. The next one we should create. Let's create a new macro and call it pet ability. This will be a macro to control our special ability. You can stack up more special abilities from different pets when you have them on. You have the same button, but in this case it will be Furious Howl. Let's start with show tool tip here. There we go. Spelled a little bit wrong there. Then we open the spellbook and our pet's abilities and shift click Furious Howl, and that cuts and pastes it into our macro. Then it's just like you do with normal macros. /cast, and then we shift click again. And this will show a tooltip of Furious Howl and cast Furious Howl. So that enables us to manually control Furious Howl. As you can see, now the wolf cast Furious Howl and we get an additional 43 attack power for 20 seconds. That is how you control the web and the sonic blast, and if you want other abilities, but some of them are really important to control manually. So that's also why you don't want it to automatically use the special ability, because you want to choose when to use that. We got one more macro that is worth to mention, that could help a lot out for you, and that is feed pet. I'm not gonna say this macro, I will write it in the description, but basically what it does is that if you are in combat, then you will instead cast mend pet, and if you are out of combat it will feed pet with the food that you have specified here, and that's just to shift click the food you wanted to eat here instead of the Mead Basted Caribou that I got. Very simple. As you can see here, it's just one click and it feeds the pet. Instead of you having to click first, feed pet, then click a food, and in worst case actually opening the bags and find the food and click it. So it makes that a lot easier. And since we are talking about pet food, let's have a look at some. Roasted quail is in my opinion the best option for you to feed your pet with. It's cheap and it's available in Organ Marine, and it gives the highest amount of happiness. I believe it's... Is it 35 or is it 15? I don't really remember, but it's the highest you can get. It's pretty cheap, but I got my heartstones in Dalaran, so I usually pick up some food in the Dalaran Inn. Your pet doesn't have a level restriction on the food. Instead, it gets more happiness the higher the food is, but there is a limit, so you get the same amount of happiness from this food as you get from roasted quail. But I like to have some in my bank, so I pick up some Mead Basted Caribou when I'm there usually. It's a lot more expensive than the roasted quail, and that's basically why I say that the roasted quail is better, because it costs several gold less. But yeah, that's it about food. Let's start going through our pets. Let's see here. This is a wolf. It's actually the Vorg from Silverpine Forest. It actually does more damage than Gorefang, which I have on Yubnubbs, and I find that a bit strange since Gorefang is a rare elite. You can see the pet's damage by going to the pets tab in your character sheet. There you see 48 to 60. This is the auto attack damage, and it's quite high. Actually it's a little bit higher than I was expecting, but 48 to 60. 1160 health. I'm not sure why it shows 985 here, because it says clearly that it has more. Not sure if it's a bug that actually affect the health or not, but it doesn't really show the full health. And yeah, so it does plenty of damage. It has bite, which does the same amount of damage, and also growl is pretty useful against other pets and some other stuff occasionally. But the good part about the wolf is Furious Howl. I wouldn't use a wolf if I was using my Blood Elf, or if I was a Tauren or Troll. Instead I would use either the Bat or the Ravager, because I would value the crowd control more than the 43 attack power. It's a lot of attack power, but it's not that much attack power. It's a little bit, but it's not worth the crowd control in my opinion. But I'm in an intellect build, which puts me really high up on attack power from start. And I got Blood Fury, and Blood Fury gives 78 attack power, which is their orc racial, and that's why these are pretty much only useful for orcs. But yeah, if you stack those up in the same macro, then it's 78 plus 43 attack power, and then it becomes a rather large difference. If you can, as you can see here, if you check out my attack power, I got 328 right now, and I'm using Blood Fury and Furious Howl at the same time. 449 attack power, and that is a lot. And the pet also go up a good bit. I don't think it gets the maximum. It seems it says plus 43, but I think we will see that it goes down 2 times. I think it might have done that. Not sure. It's a bit odd how this works here actually, but as you can see, your pet went up quite a bit there as well. And your attack power was the most important part, because that's a lot of difference there. And if I were in an agility or stamina build, I would probably prefer a Ravager or what? Oh my god! I would probably prefer a Ravager or a Bat, because then I would value the crowd control more. What the wolf lacks is crowd control, and that is quite useful actually. Let's move on to the Bat. I can recommend that you pick up a Bat at once. The only two places that I can think of right now is outside Undercity and in Ghostlands, where you can easily get a Bat. And Bats do pretty little damage, as you can see here. It only does 39 to 48, which is quite a lot of difference there in its out attacks. It also have lower stamina, only 95, but the real strength of the Bat is its special ability, Sonic Blast. On retail, I am pretty sure that Sonic Blast was a silence, but here it's a 2-second stun that does minimal damage, and it's 20 yards, so it's a pretty far stun, and it's great for interrupting healers, especially since it's ranged. It's a lot faster than the Ravagers. It's also good to stop a flag carrier a little bit there, but it costs 80 focus, so you want to keep your abilities off here. You don't want your Bat to use the abilities, because then it will drain its focus, and when you really need Sonic Blast you want to have enough focus to cast that, which is quite high, 80 focus really, and it's an instant with 1 minute cooldown, so the cooldown isn't really that long. It's a bit high, but it's not that high. But the Bat is great for crowd control, and if you try out the Bat you might like it. I like this as much as the Ravager. It's very handy, even though it does less damage. Then we got the Spider, and I am not a fan of spiders actually. It's just imagine waking up with this next to you. It's that's a nasty spider, but it's pretty good. It's not that common anymore, but it has a special ability called Web. You might want to macro this ability to use it when you want to, but I don't really use a spider. But I'll go through the why here. But the Spider is good. It has basically the same ability as the Crab, but the Crab is melee. The Web, however, has 30-yard range, which is pretty far. It's instant, it costs no focus, and it's only on 40-second cooldown. But I personally prefer to immobilize my target for 2 seconds instead of getting it stuck to the ground for 4 seconds. It's just 2 seconds longer, but except for running, your target will continue to do whatever it was doing before you webbed it. So if you web a hunter, it will fire back at you, and if it was a druid, it will just pretty much just keep running. I think a gnome can get out of it too, and human, it's pretty easy to get out of that, but it's good, but it's kind of limited in my opinion. That's why I usually don't use a spider, but you see them from time to time. And then we got the Hyena. The Hyena, you see sometimes they are not really used that often, but it's not a bad pet. It does quite high damage. I didn't show the spider, I believe, but the spider does the same amount of damage and has the same amount of health as the other pets that we have looked at, except for the bat. And so does the Hyena, 48 to 60 here, and it has pretty high damage actually, but Tendon Rip is the Hyena's special ability. It's on the Hyena's next melee attacks, it needs to be in melee and make an out attack, I believe. It costs only 20 focus, it's only 20-second cooldown, and it's a 6-second slow for 50% of the movement speed. So it's great actually. It doesn't do that much damage, but it's a pretty long slow. But as with the web, your target will pretty much just continue to do what it were doing before, but your team might catch up with a flag carrier because of that, and I can see why it's useful. Then we got the Ravager, which is by far the most used pet in Battlegrounds. Sorry about that. It's quite hard to get, and that's why I recommend a bat first, at least. But you will pretty much have to go on a personal little quest to get your Ravager as Horde. I have recorded how to do that, and that will probably be the next episode, but the Ravager is the pet that does the most damage. Not in its auto attacks, but its special ability deals a lot of damage. It's one of my favorite pets. If I were in an agility build or a stamina build, I would use either the Ravager or the bat, actually. But let's go through the abilities here. You don't really have to control the Ravager's abilities. I've heard that some people have problems with the Ravager not using their Ravage, but I haven't had problems with that. But if you want to, you can macro that, so you can use it manually if it doesn't. Ravage hits high, actually. It's the highest special attack among the pets we have gone through. 15 to 19, and it stuns your target for 2 seconds. It's in melee range, so your pet will have to get to your target first, and it's instant and 40-second cooldown. So it's very good, actually. And it also got bite, which is the same amount of damage, 12 to 16, as the other pets, and growl. But because of Ravage, the Ravager will be the pet that deals the most damage. But I normally don't control the Ravage manually. I just attack when I want to use it, basically. And that's pretty much it about the pets, I believe. I think I said most stuff of what I want to say, and the next episode should probably be how to get the different Ravagers, the kind of the 2 green ones, and this one, the kind of yellow and red-purple one. There also was a Death Ravager that you could get in the Burning Crusade, but they patched that so it became an invalid target. I'm not really sure why, but I did try to get it on my own, but I couldn't. I opened the box with my Drainy Warrior, which I made just to open the box, and it was an invalid target, so you can't get the Death Ravager here. You don't even have to try. But that's probably it. Next time, as I said, will probably be how to get the Ravager. But until then, thank you for watching, and see you next time.